Hello everyone, my name is Anna. I am a macrame artist and teacher, and today I want to talk to you a little bit more about how you can make money with macrame and other kinds of crafts. Now, I think that most of you realize that being an artist can be a real career. You can make a living as an artist, but maybe you just haven't figured out yet what exactly it is that you want to do, or what is the thing that can bring you the income. And so I've put together a list of ideas. Many of them I've tried myself, and many others I've seen other people do and be successful at it. So my hope is that this list will inspire you and it will help you get closer to your dream job. I have separated my list into 4 categories: selling, renting, then teaching and entertainment, and last but not least, Patreon. And I'll talk about all 4 categories and the different items or business models underneath each, different pros and cons, and just in general my thoughts, so you can get a really good overview. Now, that list is of course not exhaustive. I'm sure that there are other ideas out there. If you have one of those and you want to share them, put it in the comment box. I'm sure everybody else will be happy to read through it. And that's enough for the intro. Let's jump into that list. So the first category is selling your macrame or whatever products you're making. Now, this one may seem obvious, and maybe some people think that this is the only category that is available to them. But let's dive a little bit deeper. So first, there's always a couple questions that you need to answer for yourself. Number one, I would say, is what is it that you're making? What is your style? So with me and macrame, what are the macrame pieces that I want to make? And if you've been following my channel, then you know I usually like to make larger wall hangings, and also chandeliers are kind of my specialty, something I haven't really seen anywhere else. And that's usually a good idea, meaning doing something that is more original, finding your own style, right? But there are loads of other macrame artists that are doing smaller things. They might be doing keychains and earrings and handbags and clothes and all kinds of different things. So already there is a huge variety just in this, right? What are you making? Then the next question is, who do you want to sell your products to? Are you selling to regular people like you and me? Are you selling to businesses? Maybe you want to sell to cafes and hotels and these event places because you want to make really big statement pieces for them. And then the last question, I think, would be, where do you want to sell, or how do you want to sell? Do you want to have an actual physical store? Maybe in that store you also want to sell not just your macrame art, but also the supplies for it. You know, I've seen loads of artists that sell also the macrame cords, maybe some dowels, some rings, whatever other supplies that you can think of. Or do you want to have an online store where, of course, you can sell the supplies and tools as well? Do you want to sell just through Instagram and not even have, have much of a presence elsewhere, let's say? Do you want to sell at markets, like markets and festivals? I would say that tends to, at least in my opinion, that's more of a seasonal thing, but still a very good way to sell your products. You can also think about whether you want to make your products and then sell them. So kind of this ready-to-wear collection. I'm not sure what the official business term for this is. Or do you only want to make custom pieces? So only up to, whoever is ordering the macrame from you, it will be very original for every person that you're making the macrame for. So even if we stay in just this selling category, we can have so many different combinations. We can have somebody who sells macrame earrings and they only sell them online, and they already make a bunch of them and then they just sell the pieces that they've already made. Or we can have another artist who is only custom made focused and is selling to cafes all over the city. And so they make custom chandeliers, let's say, for that cafe. Very different businesses, very different pros and cons to each one of them then. And talking about the pros and cons, in the selling category, one of the cons, and that's the reason why I kind of moved away from it, or I'm not too engaged in it, is you have to spend a lot of time on each piece, because essentially you can only sell your things once, right? I mean, you make the piece, you sell the piece, and it's gone. You're not going to make any more income from that one piece. For the next sale, you have to again make a new product and spend your time making that new product. So it's you have to, I feel like, work really hard for the income that you're getting, and it's always going to be, it's always going to have a limit. There's always going to be a maximum price for which you can sell your products, and that will be it. Of course, that price can keep increasing as you get more people that desire your art, as you get more famous. You can increase your price, but always it will be one price for one piece, or one income for that one piece. I think you get what I mean, and if not, you will certainly get it when we move on to the other categories. The other factor to consider about the whole selling category is that you have to be pretty good at marketing. You have to learn social media, or maybe you don't, but it is very likely that you will be using social media, Instagram, TikTok, most likely, those two, Pinterest also maybe, to sell and to market, to promote your products. So, and that's, I would say, a whole new skill that you need to learn as a small business owner. So if you're not ready to do that, then this selling category may not be the one for you. But to not only talk about the negative sides of selling, I want to highlight one positive. I think it is amazing when you know that there are people out there who appreciate your creations so much that they're willing to pay for them and hang them in their living room walls, to wear them, to display them in their yoga studios. That's amazing. I think that then you really feel appreciated. You get this feeling of accomplishment, and that's always great. Now let's move on to the next category, which is renting your macrame. And this is where I am not sure how much it would apply to other crafts and products, but maybe it could as well. But with the macrame, it's certainly something that you can do, because there are people out there that want to rent macrame pieces for weddings, I think, are the most common events. But it could also be birthday parties, photo shoots maybe, or maybe there are other types of events as well. Some sort of designer awards or something like that, that I can think of. And that is already a lot less work. I mean, I don't want to say it's less, it's still a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but let's imagine that you have a macrame wall hanging that you would sell for $100, but when you rent it for $50, you need to rent it 3 times, and you're already making more than if you were to just sell it. So I feel like this one is more of you put in the effort in the beginning, and then it can make you more money in the future. Now, of course, you can't rent one piece forever. Like the macrame will get dirty, maybe it will get damaged a little bit with the transport and everything. But still, I think there is more potential than just selling the one piece and being done with it. Now with this category, I could see a challenge, which might be the logistics around all of it, because I would assume that in this category, it's more local. It's more of a local events that are happening somewhere around you where you can actually physically bring the product, or the event organizers or whoever is renting it, they can pick it up at your place, your studio, wherever, take it to the event, then bring it back. I don't imagine that people would be willing to ship things for a rent. I think that might get a little bit too complicated and not as profitable with all the shipping costs and all of that involved. Okay, next up, we have the third category, my favorite, of course, which is teaching/entertainment, I called it. Now, of course, in this category, you will find what I'm doing right now, and that is creating a YouTube video. But again, that's not all that can be in this category. So first of all, YouTube is not the only platform where you can learn skills. There is Skillshare. Working with Creative FABRICA, that's another platform with classes on all kinds of crafts, links below. And I'm sure that there are others that I'm not even aware of that might be smaller platforms, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a good income teaching through those. You can, of course, again, dive into a more obvious category, which is teaching face-to-face. So hosting different macrame workshops, or again, whatever your craft is, I'm sure there are other people that want to learn that craft. So that could be face-to-face classes, but those can also be virtual. So literally selling macrame classes can be a business model. And maybe you can even do individual sessions. So even sell kind of one-to-one coaching to people who want to learn that particular craft. And there is even more. Maybe you can write a book about your craft. Maybe you can be invited to an event to speak about it and actually get paid for it. That would be super cool. I would love to do that one day. Maybe it can be done as like a team building event, meaning companies would pay you to teach their teams, or rather in this case, I think we're more in the entertainment category, to entertain their teams by teaching them how to do your craft. And what I meant with the entertainment is more related back to the whole YouTube thing, because on YouTube, yes, you can teach, which is what I am doing when I'm posting all of my tutorials, but I know there are many of you that are watching my tutorials and you're not even planning to make a macrame piece. You're watching them just because you like watching them. I do the same thing. I follow so many creative people and I love watching their videos, even though I have no intention whatsoever to actually do that thing. One last idea that I had in this list was selling digital patterns as well. That's something that I think I might try to do in the future. So written instructions of how to make a macrame piece and then selling those online. I think that also would fall in this teaching category. And so what I love about this category, or at least the majority of the ideas in this category, is how much of a passive income it is. Now, let's take an example of the YouTube videos, right? Of course, it takes a lot of effort to make a YouTube video, and even more effort to get to a point where you can start monetizing your videos on YouTube. But once you hit that point and you keep going, your income can increase exponentially indefinitely. All depending on, again, how much effort you put into it. But it's not that, one video is capped at $10 and you cannot make more than that. And the same thing would apply if you were to, for example, make virtual classes. You make that class once, and then through hopefully some clever promotion, you can drive sales to it, and there is no limit on how many of them you can sell. So you can make a much higher income than if you're selling just one piece of macrame. And our last category is Patreon. I've made it into its own category because I feel like you can do all the other things on Patreon and also none of them and something completely different. If you don't know what Patreon is, it is a platform through which anyone can support a creator, an artist, through monthly subscriptions. Usually that's how it works. And then the creator or the artist is providing its patrons with certain benefits, certain rewards. Now, I have launched my Patreon just a few weeks ago. You can go check it out. There is a link right there in the description. And the plan is for me is to do more of that teaching and entertainment stuff. I want to release more vlogs. I want to have calls with my patrons. I want to talk with the people that support me about macrame, about their crafts, about their small businesses, all of that good stuff. But I've also seen other artists and creators who make certain physical products, maybe some illustrators, they're making pins and postcards and things like that. So physical products that they're selling essentially to their patrons and sending it to them. So that's more in that selling category. And I've also seen others that don't do anything and they just have a Patreon for anyone who just wants to support them because they want to support them for the content they're already creating elsewhere. The one thing about Patreon is I think it only makes sense if you already have a certain number of people that follow you somewhere else. On an Instagram account, on a YouTube channel, maybe you have a Facebook group and you already have people that are engaged and that will want to pay to get more of whatever you're offering. And so although I have seen that many artists and creators have Patreon as a significant portion of their income, if not the majority of their income, I've put it as the last category because I feel like it comes at a later stage. I have one final note on all of the ideas, and that is it definitely doesn't hurt to combine different streams of income. So let's imagine that your main goal is to be selling your macrame art, but maybe you could also think about those digital patterns. Is there a way that you could write the instructions and for people to buy those digital patterns on your online store? Or maybe you want to add those tools and supplies to your store as well. And, just try to see if there are ways of how you can combine multiple things, because you just never know what might kind of go viral or what might be the most successful path. And so it's not a bad idea to just try a few. And you might even surprise yourself with what do you like and what do you enjoy doing. Maybe all of a sudden you will find out that you really love writing down those instructions and it will lead you to writing your own book on the subject. Who knows? So don't be afraid to experiment a little. And that concludes my list of ideas for how you can make an income with macrame and other crafts. I hope it was helpful. I hope it inspired you. And please let me know down in the comments if you have other ideas or maybe you have questions to some of the ideas that I've mentioned or whatever it is you just want to comment. Please do share it with everyone else. And like I said, if you want to get more of this content, then check out my Patreon page. This is the kind of stuff that I want to get more into over there. And that is it from me today. I will see you next week. Bye.